What's up guys, Josh here from Mixing Mango, and today we're going to talk a bit about the EOC. So the EOC's been out in the game for about 8 months now, and what I wanted to ask is, do you guys think the EOC is now finished? Because like the old combat system, they had like over 10 years to kind of perfect it, and we haven't actually seen many like major updates to the EOC. I think the last one was in May with the kind of like armor changes. That was the last big one. And so do you guys think that, well, like Jagex are kind of done with it? They think that the EOC is as good as it's going to be? Because that kind of looks like it will be. And like, I think we've all got different opinions on the EOC, but in terms of actually like gameplay, do you guys think it's finished? Because I think Jagex think it is, and in my opinion it's not. There are a few things that I'd like to see them implement, which I don't think any of them would be. I think only one of them is something they'd actually even consider, the other two aren't. But these are the three things that I would like to see and would really just kind of complete the EOC for me. Because like, I mean it's a fine game and the way it is now, but there's just a few things that I'd like to see implemented. So the first one is one of the ones that is never going to happen, but I want them to put a toggle in the wildy, and will firstly remove the whole multi-way thing and make it so like different sections of multi-way how it was pre-OC, and then make a toggle that actually toggles you between abilities and pre-EOC style. So when you first enter the wildy, you'll be like in the EOC style using abilities, then you can press this toggle and it'll toggle you back to like using specials and just no abilities, that kind of thing. And like they can make it so if you're using abilities, you're going to fight people who are also using abilities, just make it fair. And like that's never going to happen, but I think it would definitely bring back PKing, because the main thing is just no one wants to PK for abilities, and if they brought back just the specs and all that, then I think people would definitely want to go back to PKing. So, and like I would actually definitely consider PKing if that happened as well. So that'd be quite cool to see, but will never happen. The second one is specs in game, but in a different way. I think if they were ever to bring back specs, I doubt they would bring it how they were before. Like I would actually like them to bring back specs the way it was before, but in terms of how they'd want to do it, I think a good compromise would be kind of remove criticals, but make it so like either make it so a critical is a spec, or just like, or so that like every, let's say 4 hits acts as a spec. And so what I mean by this is, let's say you got Dragon Claws, it would be like, so let's take the every 4 hits one. Every 4 hits you'll then, instead of doing a spec, instead of doing a critical, you do the old special, which would be like a very powerful attack. So like with Dragon Claws, it was Slice and Dice, I think that's what it's called, and it did 4 like really powerful attacks, and they have to like scale it up for the EOC, the damage it would do. But that would mean that you wouldn't just take the weapon to swap out for a spec, you'd actually be rewarded for using it. And so stuff like Chaotix maybe would just keep criticals, but it means if you actually brought out Dragon Claws for like 4 hits or something, you would actually be rewarded with a spec. Even though the weapon isn't fantastic, you'd actually have like this, it would actually be kind of worth using again. And it's like you do less DPS, I guess, but maybe there could be a place in the team for like some guy keeps out like a Dragon Claws to do this spec, and like stuff like Karazi, that weapons that have been overlooked, they could kind of bring a use back to them now. Because like for me, the tiered system isn't my favourite. I do like the idea of having some overpowered weapons and just sort of like every weapon has a use, which just isn't seen. It's like you've got to have the best weapons if you want to be good now. So those two are probably never gonna come into the game, but those are definitely two that I'd love to see to really like complete the EOC for me. The last one is definitely one that could actually come in, and it's basically just a buff to the majority of bosses. And what I'd like to see them do is make it, they should design all bosses, or at least most of them, they should be designed to be killed with a shield. So this would mean that shields would once again be actually useful, because the thing is at the moment is there's no reason to use a shield because you can do everything dual wielded, and like pre-EOC, well, you were forced to use a shield, but it actually made bosses harder. So everything should be designed to use with a shield, and so if you use a shield, you'll take a lot less damage but you have slower kills. That could then make defenders more useful, and they could bring in sort of like ranged maze defenders, and so that's a balance between defense and DPS. And then if you want to dual wield, you'll get the kill down a lot faster, but then you'll take a lot more damage and have shorter trips. So like there's a pro and con to every method really. Maybe defenders could be a bit overpowered because sort of a balance in between both, but you know, something like that would be quite nice to see, I think. And if we take like Bandos for an example, I think that definitely just needs a buff in general. And like, think of Bandos pre-EOC. If you didn't pray melee, you'd get hit like a 700, which is pretty much your life points. Now if you don't pray melee, you get hit at 2k, which is like a quarter of your life points, which is why there isn't much reason to pray melee if you have soul split. So that's kind of why, if now like Bandos hit like maybe like a 6k if you didn't pray melee, firstly it actually force you to pray melee, because I kind of think it's a joke that you can soul split bosses now, but like it would force you to pray melee. But also if you did use a shield, that would be reduced to, let's say, like 1k, whereas if you pray melee with like dual wielding, you might get hit, let's say, like 2.5k. So you'll take heavy damage, but then the kill would be twice as fast using a shield. So that would like give advantages to every like just shielding and dual wielding, and just actually make shields a bit more useful, and also raise the price, because like a divine being one of the rarest drops in the game, only being 100 mil, is kind of disappointing. Like it should be a good shield, and the problem is just shields aren't needed. So those are my opinions on what they could do to kind of finish the EOC. I think in Jagex's eyes the EOC is done, and like the game is fine as it is. It's just if they did implement those stuff, like I think it would just be absolutely amazing. I think that would completely finish the EOC for me. But what do you guys think? Do you think it's completely finished already, or do you have any ideas to kind of make it a bit better? But that's what I want to talk about, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you all later.